Hello and welcome to aquaticplants.org. In this video, we'll talk about how to plant a water lily in your pond, and we'll explore it in a very practical way. In particular, we'll see how to choose the right baskets, how to select the appropriate soil, and we'll also look at how to place the plant in your pond, taking care not to make the water dirty. Enjoy the video. To plant water lilies, I recommend using these micro-perforated baskets, available in various sizes. Of course, they should be chosen based on the size of the water lily, the water depth in the pond, and the available surface area. The reason is that the larger the pot, the more space the water lily will take up on the surface. We call these pots micro-perforated baskets because, as you can see, their entire surface has tiny holes just a few millimeters wide, which provide a double advantage. The first advantage is that they allow the roots of aquatic plants to pass through while preventing the rhizomes from escaping. This enhances the process of phyto-purification by aquatic plants. Since the roots extend through the holes, the second benefit is that the plants can absorb nutrients from the pond sludge. This makes it seem as if the basket is larger than a traditional closed plastic pot with no holes, where the roots remain inside. As the roots can grow out, it is as if the pot were much bigger because they can also absorb nutrients from the surrounding area. The best soil for aquatic plants and water lilies is ordinary garden soil. So, the soil you dig up from a meadow, garden, vegetable patch, or field. First of all, it should be heavy soil, because when you place the pot in the pond, it should not float to the surface. So, garden soil is ideal, and at the same time, it should be well loosened, as you can see. Therefore, you should avoid using stones or big clumps of soil. If you have lots of clumps and need to use them, you can break them up with a hammer like this. This way, you get properly loosened soil, which is perfect. What you should absolutely avoid is using light substrates like multi-purpose compost, green waste compost, or peat. If you use light substrates, once you place the pot in the pond, everything will float to the surface. And that is not good, because there would be no soil left in the pot, and it would make the water dirty. And, of course, we do not want that. The only exception is if your garden soil is very calcareous. You can recognize it by its grayish or yellowish color. In this case, it is not suitable, as limestone is harmful to aquatic plants. So, only in this case, you can mix garden soil with multi-purpose compost, blending it well. This is certainly not ideal, as it will make the water a bit murky. But at least you will be using soil that is appropriate for aquatic plants. Let's move on to planting our water lily. First of all, I recommend doing this in the shade or late in the afternoon. This way, the rhizome and the leaves of the water lily do not dry out. I want to point out that water lilies can be planted at any time of the year, as there is no specific seasonality. You do not have to do it only in spring or autumn. You can do it in any month of the year, without problems. Of course, avoid the middle of winter, when your pond might be covered with a layer of ice. That's all. Next, you should know that there are two types of water lily rhizomes. The first is a spherical, compact, and therefore short rhizome, just like this one, as you can see. The other type, however, is elongated. Some water lilies have very long rhizomes. In this case, there is a part called the vegetative tip, where small leaves grow and where new leaves and flowers develop. The other end of the rhizome is usually cut off. On this side, nothing will ever grow back. This is important to know because the vegetative tip must be placed in the center of the pot or facing towards it. So, if you have a long rhizome like this, you should place the cut-off end near the edge, making sure the vegetative tip faces the center, so it has enough space to grow. So, you should plant it exactly like this. If the rhizome is spherical, you just need to place it in the center of the pot, as you can see now. A very important step is to add slow-release osmocote fertilizer. For water lilies, I recommend using about 5 tablets and placing them around the rhizome. Then, cover the plant properly, ensuring that the buds, the small leaves and shoots, stay at soil level and are not buried too deep. To make sure the soil compacts well and does not escape when placed in the pond, I also recommend slightly moistening it. This way, the soil will settle a bit more. You can see that it compresses slightly straight away, so we add a bit more soil. As you can see, I have filled the pot almost to the rim, and thanks to this slight moistening, we prevent the soil from spilling out when placed in the pond. We are almost done, but we still need to discuss what to do if you have large fish. If, for example, you have goldfish or koi carp of 20 centimeters or more, you need to ensure they do not dig up the water lily. Usually, when soil is added, fish become curious and tend to dig into the pot. We do not want this, because if the fish disturb the soil, first, the plant will be left without soil, and second, the digging will make the water murky. So, only in this case, if you have fish, you can add volcanic gravel, for example. As you can see, we have left a centimeter of space between the soil and the rim of the pot, where you can place this volcanic gravel. This material is very effective. Just a thin layer, in any case. So, this is only necessary if you have large fish. If, for example, you have small fish like medaka, there is no need to add this because they do not dig. If, on the other hand, you have goldfish or koi carp measuring about 10, 15, 20, or 25 centimeters, they will tend to dig a little, which is why I recommend following the method I have shown. It is just a thin layer that will not cause any problems for the plant. However, if you have koi carp of 40 or 50 centimeters, keep in mind that these fish will definitely try to dig in the pots, so a small amount of volcanic gravel might not be enough. So, only in this case, I recommend adding a few stones, but not too close to the water lily, otherwise, it will not have enough space to grow. However, you should place a few stones on top of the pot specifically to discourage the fish and prevent them from digging. A very important point, though, is to make sure you remove these stones after a few weeks. In fact, within a few weeks, the water lily will have already developed roots, so as it grows, the soil will become more compact. Once the soil is full of roots, the fish will no longer be able to dig. If you plant this water lily in spring or summer, be aware that it will grow very quickly. Therefore, after 2 or 3 weeks, you should remove these stones. If you plant it in autumn or winter, keep in mind that during these months, the water lily will not grow, and, as a result, you should remove the stones in spring. Another very important point concerns volcanic gravel. As you can see, I used volcanic gravel and not just any type of gravel, because it is crucial to absolutely avoid using limestone gravel. You should know that almost all aquatic plants do not tolerate limestone, which is why you must avoid using white, yellowish, or greyish gravel. So, either you use very dark river gravel, such as dark grey or bluish ones, which are perfectly suitable, or you use volcanic gravel. This way, you can be sure that it does not contain limestone. And now, we have finally reached the moment to place our basket with the water lily into the pond. And that's it. I hope you found the tips in this video useful and interesting. If you also want to plant water lilies in your pond, visit our website aquaticplants.org, where in the Aquatic Plants for Sale section, you will find a variety of water lilies, marsh plants, lotus flowers, and submerged plants to choose from. If, on the other hand, you need baskets for planting your plants, fertilizers, and other accessories, in the pond supplies section, you will find everything you need to cultivate your aquatic plants. That's all for today. See you next time.